podcast.
You got 1,000?
Record already.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Hey.
There's so many different
He's not
platforms. I
fucking
don't
around.
get reports from each one.
Chingala.
I can't hear myself in the headphones. Turn my microphone up.
Hello.
What's up?
Turn them shits
Turn
up.
my
Turn them
microphone
shits
up.
up.
I can't hear nothing.
There's no
I need a
snare
little
in
more
my
on my
headphones.
headphones.
Turn them shits up.
There's no snare in my headphones.
Yeah, there's no.
Can you guys hear me?
What? I can't hear nothing.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I know.
Jimmy's OCD.
He's rewiring.
What are you doing?
My favorite
Hey,
thing about
now nobody's live.
No, that's not true.
What happened? I don't know what happened.
Why don't I have a fancy, like...
Look at the little guy.
Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Because I couldn't afford.
My favorite thing about
Yeah.
my favorite thing about a podcast is when they start and then they fuck off for like 10 minutes before they get to the conversation.
Hey,
we didn't
well,
record for like
guess
40
what?
minutes.
This
That
can be
sounds
your,
like a good time to start the intro.
yeah, this can be your favorite podcast because I thought we fucked off for about the whole thing. Yeah, about 40 minutes
Once again, it's time to open your
Oh, man, I got this new
ears
toy
and
coming.
Expand your mind.
I don't want to hear it.
So sit back,
What am I,
grab
3?
a brew.
Am I
We're
3?
gonna have
It's a
some
little
too. Give you our point of view.
musical
On
instrument thing.
Talking Brap.
Artiphone Orb. Look it up. It's really cool.
Artiphone Orba.
I got this really cool toy coming. I can't wait. When I'm walking funny,
Now that there's
no, I had a good time.
now that it's just a bunch of dudes, I have a new toy.
Your headphones you can control here.
Oh, okay, good. Turn
Yeah.
them
We can leave
shits
the
down.
mic up.
Yeah, these guys are really loud.
You're really loud.
No, you're a hooker.
You're a hooker. Madam Kamei. I love him so
right.
much.
Welcome back. Talking Brab, Season 3, Episode 2.
What?
Almost can say take 2, but
Yeah, 1.5 maybe. What?
yeah.
Okay.
Season 3, Episode 2.
Put your headphones
I can't hear nothing.
There's no snare in my headphones. So, we started our last episode and
What's the
got
volume?
had a little bit of trouble, and we ended up totally derailing and doing our own thing, which we do a lot anyway. So, we started off trying to do what I had. The idea was motorcycles first, and that starts with the first motorcycle, obviously. So I did a little research, and of course, who else but not me popped up as the first patented motorcycle.
Didn't it start on fire when we was riding it?
Not exactly, but it was. It did overshoot several times.
riding a bomb.
Well, it looks like it. I mean, from the pictures, which again, if you're listening, go online, talkabout.com. All of our episodes have links
He's
to
sitting on the
everything
gas
we're
tank
looking
right
at.
there.
You can
Either
follow
that or
all
a
that.
steam
It
vessel.
looks like, I mean, there's nowhere
you're
else that
sitting
it
on a
looks like a
bomb.
gas tank could be than that big brass or leather.
Saddle?
Yeah, whatever the heck that thing is. I
My
don't know.
fancy cup has the hole in it.
The steering. Now I'm going to show this to Jamie because he can see it. And if you notice it, the steering is really wicked. It's like S-curved up and moves all weird. This is like wood
Well,
and
he's German.
steel.
What do you expect?
And so the story goes,
It just comes straight up and out. He's like, 9.
now if you
It
look,
must have ergonomics.
it has like training wheels, if you will.
Sweet.
But
Because
the
everybody was
story
drunk back
goes,
then.
as I was researching this, that Maybach and Daimler were starting to build engines, and they were one of the first people to really start doing it. So they started off, and engines were turning like 200-300 RPM and
What
had
year?
very little power. So
01?
no, this was
1893,
1885.
85.
1885 was when the patent was filed.
85.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so it's pretty old. But so they had kept building these motors so they could turn more and more RPM. And I think around this time, if I read correctly, it was somewhere in the 600 or 700 RPM range is what this motor turned. It somehow, I guess their whole idea was to make a motor small enough and powerful enough to make some kind of a vehicle. You know, so I guess logically, the first thing you're going to do is put it on a bicycle and see if it'll go around.
So it's a motor like the motor at the fair when they're making the popcorn.
Yeah. Well, so it's a 264 cc air cooled 4-stroke engine that made 0.5 horsepower.
0.5.
Yeah.
So back then, if you're on a horse, you were doing better.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
And it probably
I just wanted to make
it
sure.
probably smelled better and rode better.
And you didn't die when you rode it. Okay.
So they only made a couple of these. They were done as a proof of concept, if you will, probably not even a term then. And Daimler never ever made another motorcycle again. He went to four wheels after this with his
everything back then was made in a shed, right?
Yeah, everything. Well, yeah. There wasn't like they had a big.
Well, cities were different back then as well. I mean, it was just a different time.
Made in a shed, casting your own parts.
We need to get Aaron on a mic.
All of that.
Yeah. So there's some interesting stuff here. So they drove it from one city to another, and I think it was his son rode it, and it overheated and had nothing but problems.
How do we move to bike number 2?
So you will see a few of these around the world, and they are all replicas.
I want more horsepower.
The originals all burned in a fire in like 1903 or something like that.
Just so you know,
is this the time we move to the next
in America in 1885, Dave Rudabaugh, which was a member of Billy Kid's gang, was decapitated.
Nice.
Just so you know.
Fact of the week.
Delving into last night.
We move on
motorcycles?
While Daimler was building motorcycles,
yeah. While he was building
Billy the Kid's
motorcycles,
gang members were being decapitated in
While
America.
riding these?
No, they were on horses.
Nice.
We were in America.
Give me a link
We
to that
rode,
so
we
we
rode
can.
reliable transportation.
When did FN build their first motorcycle?
FN? I don't know.
FN.
So my next step on this logical experiment was the first production motorcycle. And let me see here.
The slowest grab ever.
The slowest grab ever.
Not sure what
Yeah, but
Rudy's doing over there.
You know what though? You can do those.
That's
Pressing
grinder.
a lot of
opened-
buttons.
opened up too
Men
many.
seeking men.
Close grinder.
Close that.
Close.
Okay.
All these pop-ups.
What if somebody messages me?
That's why we have all this email spam now. Can't even get my email anymore. They're asking me for money.
Damn it.
As hell, grinder account pops up. Ooh,
Motorcycles, and it
If you'd
keeps
like to
showing
get
me
your
stuff.
documents back, please send us 10 grand.
Every time I type in motorcycles, it shows me stump port.
See, I thought I was already here.
That's nugget port.
No,
You were there.
We don't, Steven. No.
Hey, you know Wikipedia
No.
is bullshit, right? It's all run by the black hats.
Yeah. So, motorcycle number 2.
Hildebrand and Wolfmuller was the first actual production motorcycle in 1896.
1896. What happened in America? 1896.
The first production motorcycle in the U.S. was the Orient Aster, built by Charles Metz in 1898 in his factory in Waltham, Massachusetts.
And how did the
And there
amenities
is-
improve?
Okay, so I'm going to let you know how obscure an Orient Aster is. It's not even a hyperlink on Wikipedia where you can find out more information.
Well, in America in 1896, Butch Cassidy, Elsie Lay, and Harvey Kid Curry Logan robbed a bank in Montpelier, Idaho.
Nice. So you said first FN motorcycle?
Yes.
America was way cooler than Germany in 1896. And pretty much every year.
1901 to 1967 was FN.
Had a pretty good
Shaft
run.
driven 133cc single cylinder. In 1904 went to a 300cc single cylinder. It's a shaft driven. That's interesting.
It was also the first production inline 4.
So that's there's a good first. That's probably the first shaft-driven.
Because inline
production
4 is
motorcycle.
pretty much every Japanese brand running right now in the industry is what they're
shaft?
running. No, inline 4.
Oh, inline 4. Oh,
And
yeah.
FN was the first company to bring it to market in a motorcycle. Now, they weren't sideways like they are now. They were, turned 90 degrees.
Yeah.
So they ran from seat to stem in a line. But, that is what's been adopted now in your inline 4s compared to the V-twin market. And they were doing that a long time ago.
So one of the other things that comes to mind when I was looking this stuff up was like the first monoshock motorcycle, because in the 80s or 90s, when was it that 71, sorry, a little bit earlier, 71 in race, 74, 75 in production was the first dirt bike with a monoshock.
Wasn't it the Yamaha YZ490?
YZ250.
YZ250.
Yeah. So, what's this? Oh, is that the FN? Okay. Oh, yeah.
Inline 4.
Yeah, and that's a pretty little motor there.
131 cc's.
Yeah, I was going to say that might be one of the earliest ones, because that's
Roy, I've got to bring you a book someday. It's a book called Where They Raced.
Yeah.
And I got it when I was back in Southern California. And this is
Best part about this part is like, it's just him going, yeah.
Like,
and then silence.
It's a book.
Really?
No, I can lift it up.
It's a
very,
book
it's very
all
interesting.
on like
Ghost Rider.
in Southern California, where they built these big ass
Gotta eat it.
board tracks,
You got to put your mouth on it.
and they would have mile long board tracks
There you go. Yeah.
set up
Yeah,
in like
get
Beverly
close to
Hills, Brentwood, like
Yeah.
now,
Oh,
which are
with
like
my hand.
Hollywood area. It was like
Yeah.
farmland back then, and they would race these bikes back then, and these guys were absolutely freaking nuts.
Yeah.
Like 40-degree, 45-degree banking board tracks.
Well,
on
everyone
these
was
old
nuts
bikes.
before the leftists took over.
So there's a British guy that used to race. I can't think of his name right now. He's an ex-racer, and he's doing like TV show
We
stuff.
played football with leather helmets on until the leftists took over.
And he tried to set the, I don't know if he did, but he tried to set the world record for like the fastest wall of death. And he built one that was
Like twice the size,
2
right?
or
It was
3
huge.
times the size. Yeah, and he got it, and like was about to like pass out at point.
Yeah, I
from
was
the
going to say, didn't he
G-forces
get like
and
sick
shit.
from the G-forces or something and
Oh,
then
yeah.
almost die on it?
Yeah,
Awesome.
That's right. Conservative.
Awesome.
So as you
Not
go,
a liberal.
as you go back looking into monoshock motorcycles, there was actually a bunch of them in like the 30s and shit.
Well, I think Mako,
And
that Italian outfit, was really, really big in the,
yeah, there's some
like the
obscure
wishbone.
stuff. Yeah, where they had like
That,
one
like, Honda
shot,
adopted.
technical monoshock.
Yeah, it seems like it was Mako that was like real big on us. Oh, you
You're
just
all right,
passed.
man.
Yeah, you
You're
get
all
it.
right. You're all right.
You're
Yeah,
good. We're here after hours.
Yeah. Shit happens.
Shit like that's going to happen.
What's that button?
You know,
Makes it not record.
so the first turbo motorcycle popped into mind because I've always wanted, I've had a turbo car. I've always wanted to like, I don't want to say ride a turbo motorcycle, but I want to like have one to ride for longer than a couple hours. You know what I mean? Like something I can beat on.
Crickets.
Because I want to know what it feels like.
That's for when you make your next joke. You play that.
There was turbo motorcycles made for racing and things earlier, but the 82 CX500 turbo Honda is the first considered production mass-produced turbo motorcycle. And I bet that thing got it, dude. A 500cc with a turbo on it. That
What do
thing
you
had
think? It
to
was
be
like
pretty quick.
4 to 6
Hey,
pounds of booze.
We were watching, what was that? Speed World or something
Yeah,
that we
it
were
was-
watching yesterday, and that new Kawasaki.
There's the new naked Cowie that came out, but
Well, it's a
they're all-
super-
It's the
supercharged.
H2.
but they're
it's
also
H2.
but there's like Ducati's got one, I guess. They're showing them.
KTM had one.
Yeah, they're all supercharged, like naked, big cylinder.
There was an H2 on the dyno here last year. It ripped. Oh my God. Yes. Good call.
Nailed it.
It sounded amazing inside the shop, and I was working and I was like, what the fuck is on the dyno out there?
Yeah.
And by the time I got to go look, I didn't, there was nothing going on anymore. Mike found the button.
Studio
yeah.
audience.
That sounds good.
That sounds pretty good.
Wow.
Hope he makes it home
It's probably
okay.
Jamie, huh?
Oh, it's 7.
That's 7 with his
Yeah.
butt.
Oh, with his
baffles
leg.
out.
Oh.
Baffles out.
Loves it.
I thought he left.
He did. That's
Well,
him taking off.
that's him leaving.
Oh, he's outside.
He's
God
outside.
damn, that thing's
Yeah.
loud.
hey, that's not a button.
No, I thought it was in the shop.
No, he's outside.
No, he's outside.
Oh,
Press the whole 3 seconds. No.
Okay.
we're gonna have fun with this one.
I love it, man. Whole new level.
We've had these sound effects the whole time, and
We had no idea. He was holding out on us.
Yeah.
Well, he can program them too, so hopefully we'll mix them up.
I just sat next to the board to make sure the red button was on.
Job done.
Are you sure that thing didn't start on fire? That Daimler?
One of them did. I remember.
Daimler's son was the first rider.
Yeah, I thought we talked about it.
Look at
Maybach
it all.
letter.
It's all
Yeah.
wooden
So,
wheels.
so this is the
wooden
top.
torque.
This is 15 facts you need to know about the first motorcycle. And
That's
I'm
our
going,
car.
I'm going. I made it to 7. I know. I've made it to 7, and we've already talked about them all. So,
What a lucky guess. Hey, he does not know shit about what any of these buttons do. He's just hitting shit and he's knocking it out of the park.
now here, I've never heard this before. This is number 3 that Daimler is the father of the
I
motorcycle.
thought we were on number 7. I'm confused.
Well, we've already talked about all the others. I covered it all.
We did?
Okay, so the Reitwagen in German means riding wagon. I didn't talk about that.
Is it the third right wagon?
And,
Whoa.
too close. Too close.
Too soon? It was like 70 years ago.
Damn it.
So there was a good list here as well of so like the first motorcycle to hit 100 miles an hour.
You know what's really funny? I'm sorry to break it up, but Jamie hates our podcast.
I know.
He gets on there, he's like, you can just see his fucking OCD's like,
So enough.
We need to stay on
what's
topic.
What's the next
we
one?
need to
What's the next one?
Next. And then?
And then
we need an outline.
No, and then.
We need to research it. Oh, we're gonna be late on the podcast. I have to research.
yeah, I don't research.
You pull up the FN motorcycle. And he's like, "Look." We're like, "Yeah."
Yeah. So the first motorcycle to hit 100 miles an hour production is the Bro Superior SS 100.
The Bro Superior.
Isn't that how you say it?
Bro, I don't know. Bro,
Pretty sure it's the Bro Superior.
BRO.
Pretty sure that's how you say it. And this was in 1925. It was made from 25 to 40. So 1925, 100 miles an hour was probably fast as shit. Roads probably suck.
Bro.
Like the roads, there was probably nowhere to ride 100 miles an hour, you know.
You want a beer? We'll get one.
Get up and get one.
Get
Back in the day, didn't they call that when you had a motorcycle? They call it breaking the ton. And then in England, they had what they call the ton up club. And there's some cafe somewhere, and this is kind of the term where cafe racing came from. Was a bunch of guys that were ton up club. They called
I thought cafe racing was in Spain.
England.
Oh.
I forgot the name of this cafe, but it's
Ace
still
Cafe?
open. Ace Cafe. You got it.
What?
That's the one. Ace Cafe still does
Yeah, we had
guys
one in Orlando.
old cafe bikes, and I'm
They
pretty
did
sure
a
they
lot
call it the
with
Ton Up
motorcycles,
Club,
like
and it's
if it's
old
downtown.
style bikes
So
that go 100 miles an hour.
We did in Cali. up
Y'all
in the
probably had an
up in
Ace,
the
didn't you?
mountains, We had it's called the Century Club is what they called
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
They made it from from the Four Corners to Alice's restaurant and back. And under so many minutes, you were averaging over 100 miles an hour.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that
nuts.
sounds like fun. So, a little update for the listeners that don't know. I bounced the new motor off of the rev limiter for a little too long.
One too many times.
And-
You realize it's not an 883 anymore?
yeah,
You should, why don't you gear that thing up so you can hang out with big
I
bikes?
can. I was at 120 plus at fourth gear when I hit fifth. There was a sport bike. I wanted to try to catch him.
Video or didn't happen.
True. I'll give you that.
120
But
on a
I can tell you,
Sportster.
I hit
Come on.
the fourth, and when I hit fifth, it went bah, and I was like,
explain to the class what you broke.
head gasket.
There you go.
Yes, I have oil leaking out of both.
The best part was he was telling Patrick Pride. Was it Pride that you're telling him?
Yeah,
Like,
Patrick Pride with the
you're-
skunk bike.
You're like, oh yeah, I blew up a head gasket on my sport. He goes, oh, how'd you do that? He's like, oh, I was chasing a sport bike on the freeway. He goes, oh, I blew mine up.
I was like, hell yeah. But yeah, so I got a little engine work to do, and it
You know what's
Bigger
weird?
and better.
only really
People think
lets
we're open
go.
at 8 o'clock at night.
Except the phone rings.
That's,
Yeah.
that's just fucking weird.
Cedric's. I don't know if they can see Cedric in the
Said he's
background,
not
but
answering
Cedric's
the phone.
back
they're
there
at the
working.
mall. Well, they're in there.
I see you're in there. Is my shit done?
So it's we go to first
Bring it till he picks it up.
the other big bike, big name, old school bike is the Vincent Black Lightning, which was the
Oh,
first
yeah.
to hit 150 miles an hour in 1949. Now, to give that
Make him get his own goddamn
some
beer.
levity, the next rung under was 110 miles an hour. So they went from a bike that the record before that was 110 miles an hour, and they're like, "Fuck you, here's 150." They didn't go 115; they went 150. There's some others afterwards that were slower. Actually, the Vincent Black Lightning. See, that was 1949 to 1952.
You ever watch Top Gear?
Oh yeah.
It's 1984 before a production motorcycle does 150 miles an hour again.
Wow.
Who was that?
The Honda VF 1000.
Single swing arm bike,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They
Dude,
put Hammond on one of
VFR.
those bikes, and
So the
they did a
VFR,
cross
In case you
country
didn't
race.
know,
It's
that's
crazy.
240 kilometers per hour.
The VFR platform is a really cool bike. Is whatever. I saw one today. It had a tour pack on the back of it. I was test riding a bike, and it was like, I saw it coming at me, and I was like, "Ooh, that's a VFR." I was like, "I like VFRs. They're cool bikes, And then he comes by me. He's got a big ass tour pack on the back, and I was like, "And not cool anymore."
From the guy that wants to put hard bags on his Sportster.
I'm gonna put saddlebags on there. I'm not putting like
You need to get that Road Glide fairing that one had.
I'm putting fairing on it.
With
Dude,
the
get those
Samsung screen.
big,
Hey,
hard,
have you seen
Pelican
those
bags.
V-Rods? What the what are they?
T-sport
The rod
bag.
glides?
That'll work.
That's what I want. T-sport bag.
The glide rods? What are they? Fuck are they? They had those Road Glide fairings you could put on V-Rods.
Roads.
road
Oh,
rods.
yeah.
Road rods.
Road rods. That's
Road
what it was.
rods,
Yeah.
We built the people at my shop built one before I worked there. My old shop.
We had a customer that had one that, he rode the shit out of it, but every time he saw it, you're like, what the fuck? No.
At that time, that motor is actually a pretty awesome motor, and we were pretty sure that we were going to see that in a touring bike at some point.
Well, I think we still will.
That motor,
They can only survive with air-cooled motors for so long.
Yeah, but it won't be that motor. It'll be something else.
Well, that's the platform that's in the 1250s, the Pan America.
That 1250 is nice.
Yeah,
That's a whole different.
Very
You're talking.
low valve timing.
Yeah,
and
there's
cam.
so
But
many
it's
things.
Factory
basically
Nikasil.
it's a Revolution
It's a
motor.
rev motor, yeah.
I mean, they didn't call it something else. It's the Revolution
They-
motor.
they
They
just
just
made it
updated
better.
it even more than it was
Yeah.
before.
Oh, I can't wait to ride one of those.
If we ever
I
get
seriously
one.
want to buy
John
one.
did. He had a lot of good things to say.
I've never heard John say anything good about a Harley in
He was
my
oozing.
life
Yeah,
ever.
he was oozing all over.
I've never heard John say anything good about anything.
except
Touche.
firearms.
No, except
Well,
about
they're too expensive.
Camaros
or they're
and small
cheap.
block Chevys. They're all awesome.
LS platform stuff.
Yeah,
he loves.
LS platform, all awesome.
Anything LS platform.
Anything Chevy, anything. Well, his whatever he owns is badass.
Good shit.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I even called him out at the meeting about that. I was like, well, it must be good because I've never heard John say anything good about a fucking Harley before. So, like, damn.
I love his presentation. When he
Yeah, his
talks
presentation
about
like
stuff.
no one wadded shit up.
It's like,
it
you
was a
walk
great
over there
day.
and they're like, nope. You're going to go ride the Ducati. And he's like, they did that for a reason.
Yeah. Which sounds like they,
So they had him ride a Ducati
Yeah,
first.
so the story was
Those are awesome.
What
they
does it
took
say?
people. So for the listeners that don't know what's going on, Harley's going to certain areas of the country and inviting people from the dealerships in to ride the Pan America. So we sent a couple of people from our dealership over there. They showed up expecting to ride Pan America. What they rode was a Ducati,
KTM.
a KTM, and a BMW.
Yeah.
So all the
All the
ones that are going to have
the sport
headers.
And for those of you that don't know, the Pan America is Harley's new adventure touring bike, 1250.
Correct. Yeah. And
World
so
Traveler.
this is their direct competitors, which everybody says Harley can't build something to compete with, basically. So John, who
says that?
rides adventure touring, he has
Does
Yeah,
it
he
have,
has like a Yamaha F900 or whatever that.
FZ09 or
Yeah,
something.
whatever
He's
that-
got something, but it's not an adventure tour, but it's something similar. But he is in adventure touring groups, and this guy's like fucking.
Hey, I'm engineering over
Sit
here.
on the little stool.
No,
But yeah, he's working it out. He's got it.
I got it now. I'm
Yeah.
all good now. I'm comfortable.
That guy's on
But
cam box.
so they rode all of these other bikes because it doesn't matter what class, what group you're talking about.
Singer, huh?
As you
All right.
ride
Uh-huh.
different manufacturers in the same group of something, trucks or sedans or whatever, there's going to be differences. And so that was the idea behind riding each of the bikes because, the KTM, I'm going to say right off the bat, I think he said it was KTM's going to be a top end, racer.
Oh, yeah.
That's how they like to ride. The Ducati is going to have a fuck ton of torque. They're Ducatis usually have a lot of torque.
You got one, right?
It's going to be noisy. But
It's black. Oh, it's black.
Would you rather have the
I don't even
50
ride it.
the
It's
50
not-
pitter or the Ducati? What would you rather have?
It's down.
The 50 the pitter or the Ducati? What would you rather give up? You have to give up one.
well, you already gave up the Ducati.
What is it?
Yeah, he already gave up the Ducati. His brother's riding it.
Oprah.
Well, it doesn't run. Oprah, William Shakespeare, somebody else.
No, it's Oprah.
Kill him.
Yeah,
Carry
yeah,
him.
Marry one, fuck one, kill one, go. Who is it?
All right, yeah.
right?
Fuck, hey, F Mary kill. The lowrider S, the Ducati, or the Pity.
All right, so
Got to fuck one, marry one, kill one.
marry the pitter, fuck the Ducati.
Kill the lowrider S.
You already did.
Too late. Oh, wow. Wow. All right, so we got to do a little backstory there.
A
Yeah.
whole new game. Motorcycle fuck, marry, kill.
Yeah, so
Fuck yeah.
for the listeners that don't know, said he had a pretty sick lowrider, Softail lowrider S, M8. Sorry, I meant to say M8 lowrider S. That he
Got ran
He had
over.
an incident
over.
on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
freeway.
And Mike was riding with him when it happened, but yeah, had an incident on the highway and totaled his bike. I mean,
Somebody tried to
tore it
kill
up
him.
Really
Yeah,
good.
it was attempted
He
murder.
was surfing the bike at like 80, being pushed by the car.
Yeah. So there was a road rage incident, and yeah,
We can't hear you. You don't have a microphone.
Get in here, man.
Nope, not gonna do it. Oh man, those buttons are out of control.
It's
tonight.
happening right now.
It is. It's happening.
What's
Huh?
that?
So continue the story.
So is he done for the night?
Which one?
Said he's accident.
Well, that was pretty much the.
That's
I mean, I don't want to
that's
get
as far
into.
as we're
Yeah,
gonna
I don't
go.
want to get
So
into.
anyway,
too much.
going back
See,
to
Mike
this
can tell.
KTM.
Mike
Is that
can tell more.
is that a motorcycle first?
No, for him, no.
We kind of ended the podcast in about 8 minutes.
Well, we went through some stuff and we got derailed like we always do.
Good.
And
So
we can
anyway-
circle back
Derail was the
around.
most
Well,
fun.
but we're back to a motorcycle first, where it's the first time that he said anything good about a Harley, which
All
is
right,
a motorcycle
so-
That's
first.
a motorcycle first.
What was your
First, we'll
first
take it.
motorcycle? Because I think we've talked about our first motorcycles. What was your first
My
motorcycle?
first motorcycle was the Bandit,
Blast.
a Bandit 600 Suzuki.
yeah, air cooled.
Yeah,
600,
the old Katana motor.
Those
Yeah.
were they're fun little bikes.
That was,
man.
it was a good time.
I think all bikes are fun if you want them to be. You know what I mean? Like, if you just go, no bike's fun. You know, if you want to go out and beat the hell out of it.
Just do what?
No.
That's not fun.
That's why I sold my first bike, because I
So-
could not just blah around.
But I want to hear what he said about that new Harley versus he rode a KTM, he rode a Ducati. What else?
Yeah, you would have been at the employee meeting. You would have heard all about
the
it.
BMW, which I would assume, come back
He
into
had
what
the
we were talking
sniffles.
about. The
I'd say kids
BMW was probably the smoothest, you know what I mean, of the three. BMW is pretty known at giving a balanced power and all of that.
Jordan.
But from what I understand, because I had a friend that owned one, they're very heavy. They're a lot, and he was a Harley tech. So
And
he
they're
rode Harley.
wide too,
That's a
right?
big-
Yeah, he said he bought it. It came into the dealership, and he was like, fucking. He lived on a dirt road, shit. He's like, I love this thing. I want it. So he bought it, and he's like, man, it's a lot of fun. And then he put like 30, 70, whatever tires on it, and he's like, it fucking killed it on the highway.
Yeah.
After that, he's like, you can't ride it on the highway, and he.
Hey, I talked to Mr.
He
Graham
really threw me
today.
off.
Anthony Graham has that really nice road glide
Yeah.
that we built for him. Kraus set up, built motor.
Yeah.
He spent, after knee surgery, a little bit of time because of the weight on his BMW. And he said to me today, I miss riding my road glide.
Yeah.
That bike is so much fun.
Yeah.
He has way more fun on that bike.
Well,
So did that new Harley rip or what?
according to John,
Yeah, he said it tore it up.
yeah. He said
It said it
was-
goes 139 miles an hour.
Yeah, he said you wheelie it.
Limited.
I don't know how that works, because I thought they were all like 110. I thought that was a thing with Harley. Every bike 110.
Maybe they don't have the limiter on there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, he said it did 139 miles an hour. He said it would wheelie. He said it did everything. He said it was nimble.
How's the
The
suspension?
So
seat is
he wrote
adjustable,
he wrote
legs
the,
are
he
adjustable.
wrote the standard, and he said it was a little too tall, right, or a little too short.
No, he said. I think what
the
he
seat
said
was too high
the seat was too close to the peg.
on the
is I think
standard.
what he said, and so they moved him over to another one where the pegs were moved down and the seat was moved up a little bit.
Yeah,
He was
special.
like, perfect. He said it was exactly what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, you can adjust
Yeah.
the seat.
Well, the special
On the
has
special, you can adjust
it
it.
has the ride height adjustment, automatic ride height adjustment. So as you pull up to a stop, it'll, and then as you go, it'll
It's
lift
also
up.
supposed to read the passenger, rider, and weight of the motorcycle.
How come you have no tattoo?
Self-adjust.
Why come you have no tattoo?
Why come?
Yeah.
Why come you have no tattoo?
It's unscannable.
Yeah.
So
Variable valve timing.
It's like a
is what
VTEC.
yeah.
VTEC,
dude.
actually
Yeah.
probably closer to the Coyote motor for
Yeah,
Ford.
it uses oil pressure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the VTEC and like the Honda was electric, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It's like solenoid controlled, I think.
Oil
yeah.
pressure.
yeah, and then the Ford's oil pressure.
I had an
Like
S2000 that had that.
yeah,
It was crazy. You'd hit, was it
$4,000.
four? Yeah, I think
Yep.
it was $4,000. The thing would go wah, and take off like a dirt bike. You're like, wow.
So when I was in high school in the 90s, I graduated in 97. So by then the VTEC was out, and Hondas were already cool before the VTEC hit. You know what I mean? At that time,
Yep.
because they were cheap.
Yeah, all that
and-
square Civic.
Yeah. Down
you
there,
bombed around in.
dude. Oh, dude, we used to. I had a Prelude that was fucking sick.
We
But
would not have hung out in high school.
yeah, probably not. Probably not.
I had a
But
74 Monte
I
Carlo.
would have pulled up next to your little Prelude in my '67 Coronet.
I don't know, man.
Pulled in the front brake on. Pull the brake off.
I had
Well,
a VW, and I drag
first-
raced an Escort and blew
My
it up.
first buddy that had a VTEC that we threw, because if you throw an intake and an exhaust on anything, you hear the motor.
Yep.
And there was 3 lobes or whatever you want to call it to those. So you would hit, it was boom, boom, and then you would hit the second boom, and it was like you could feel it, you could hear it. It was like, what the fuck? This is awesome.
And then you're going 70.
Yeah,
But like the Coyote
I don't know,
motor,
man.
you can get tuning
we had some pretty good
that
cars
will,
back in the day.
like computer control. You can make it lope at idle and do all kinds of crazy stuff in tuning. It's really, really cool. So
Those Coyote
the
motors are
tuning
badass,
capability
man.
of what they're doing with that motor is going to be pretty insane.
Well, the Coyote is the hybrid motor too. Now that's like the Coyote motor is what's in those F-150 hybrids.
And they make a cross-plane version of that.
Yeah.
They put in the GT350,
Yep.
I think.
That hybrid
Badass.
That hybrid F-150 with the Coyote hybrid motor has like a 10,000-pound towing capability, and it still gets like 60 miles a gallon on the highway.
60.
Yeah,
If
I'm
it's
not
60
joking.
miles a
I'm
gallon,
not
I'll buy one
kidding.
of those motherfuckers.
The new hybrid Ford has like insane.
Oh, hybrid.
Yeah.
Hey, since they cracked open the beers, let me get one of them.
Here we're
Dead air.
Look that shit
There.
up, man.
So
All right, Shane. F, Mary, kill.
F Mary kill.
Sportster.
No, you gotta do F.
Buell.
Yeah, we got to do like a lightning.
No.
Not the
It
blast.
it can't be fuck Mary kill. It's gotta be like
Ride,
got no
burn.
fuck destroyer ride.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be ride with your buddies, ride to work, or ride off a cliff.
Oh, I like that. All right. Ride with your buddies, ride to work, or
yeah,
ride
but
off
ride
a cliff.
to work doesn't work because I work with most of the people I would ride with.
Okay, how about ride
We'll
to your
call it
mom's
the
house?
three
Ride alone,
rides.
no, ride with your buddies, ride alone, ride off the cliff.
All right.
Okay, all right.
So it's like the big chick moped kind of thing. Like, you know, you're going to have fun on it, but you don't want anybody to see you on it.
Yeah, hey dude, I owned a moped.
I love the
fucking
moped
love that
I
thing.
ripped around on for a while. I
Hell
don't
yeah.
care if anybody saw me.
I was proud. I was like 15. I was the shit. I had a fucking motorcycle.
Get pedaling fast enough to
Get
kick it
pedaling.
on.
All right. So we'll make this tough. Your Sportster.
Okay.
A Buell. Or
What
a
Buell?
brand new 2020 Road Glide with one of our 128s and a 492 setup with a D&D big bore.
Right off.
Come on now.
But it's got to be like a Buell, like a
1125 or a Lightning
Yeah,
or something.
The
Yeah,
only,
like a
the
Buell
only
Lightning.
ones that I see are tough to decide between is
Buell
your
Lightning.
Sportster and the new Road Glide.
Because I own the Buell. I like Buell except for the blast.
The last
as we all
time you
know.
acted like you were at Niagara Falls when you heard us mention the word Buell.
No, it was
Just
Buell
blast.
Yeah, but
Blast.
that was a Buell Blast.
Yeah, that was a
Have you-
Buell Blast.
Have you,
Okay.
have you ever seen a
We
Buell
had to
Blast?
specify.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a Buell Blast?
The Lightning.
Yeah.
Okay, a
ones,
Buell
what I'm
Blast
familiar
is
with.
like this little fucking turd bike that they use in
Like in
riding
the training schools
riding
and stuff.
academies.
Yeah. And they
It's
put
a
the crash
Sportster with
bars all
only
over
one
shit.
cylinder.
Yeah.
Oh.
500cc
Yeah.
single cylinder,
Yeah.
but it's carbureted with an automatic choke, and you have to adjust those things like every 1,000 miles.
And
Oh,
it's
shit.
it's got like it's belt drive and the rear pulley's like this big.
Because it has no
and there's
power
no
whatsoever.
adjustment. Once it's out,
Yeah.
it's gone.
Yeah.
Like it's literally entry level to the max.
Yeah, it's designed to ride like 3,000
So
miles
that's
and then
when
be
you're jumping
traded in
off the
for
cliff.
$200.
Absolutely.
Okay, we got that.
Huh?
Yes.
The whole
absolutely.
thing.
Yeah.
Everything Buell.
No, there was
Buell
a
has
reason
to
why
have.
Eric Buell did a video where he was tired of like he was trying to get in the race market, but he still had the blast, and he was like, "This is hindering me." So he made a video online of them literally crushing a Buell Blast into a square, and it was like, and he's like, "Get your new boat anchor or your tables." Like he made this whole video about getting rid of the blast and move into the sport era,
Oh, that's funny.
and so you can buy one for like $500 crushed if you wanted. But yeah, it's-
Conversation piece, I suppose.
Oh yeah, the heaviest table you'll never get anybody.
So
to
really, it's
do.
the same price running or as an ornament.
Yeah.
Probably worth more.
Easier to
Sign that
maintain-
shit, man. It'd be worth more.
Easier to maintain as a table.
I still want to buy that one and fucking.
All right, so we know what you're burning. What do you
Yeah.
ride with your buddies, and what are you riding home?
I don't know. I like my Sporty because it's fun to try and beat the bigger bikes, but that's a good loan bike. I'll probably do the bagger with the buddies just because I know it would run harder.
And continue to run.
Yeah.
Because you can like pull up and you can be like, I get 40 miles a gallon
Well,
on this
baggers
hog.
are finally competition.
Well, I could put like rain
For a
gear and
Sporty.
stuff in the bag
Yeah.
and have
Yeah.
a radio and
No,
you
I
know.
mean seriously though, M8 baggers are finally, if you set one up right, are finally competition for sporties and shit. You know,
Yeah.
That it is what it is now. Not so much 10 years
if I was,
ago,
If I was
but
going to build one, it would be that 130 kit that we did for Escobar. That 160 horsepower, 148 foot-pounds of torque, but it's
Monster.
down in the 120s up until about $3,000, so it's usable in the bottom end. You can get into it hard without spinning easy.
Pussy.
Yeah. But it winds out. I mean, that thing's going to hurt some feelings. If a sport bike sleeps on that thing, it's going to just eat it in the quarter. Light to light, 8th mile, no problem.
8th mile, no problem.
Okay, I've got one.
Go for it.
Aaron,
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
ride up a cliff, ride alone, or ride with your buddies.
Okay.
The Livewire, the Pan America, or one of our bagger, a 130 like Escobar's with Kraus suspension, the whole thing.
Man, that's tough. So wait, again, it's ride off a cliff,
Ride off a cliff, ride
Ride your
alone, or
bu-
ride with your buddies.
ride off the cliff, electric bike. I'm
As
sorry.
much as I love that thing, I'd
I
probably
love
say
it.
the same thing.
I love it, but
I'd ride it
I'm
with,
just gonna make
I'd
it
ride
easy
that
on
one with my
myself.
buddies.
About the 90-mile mark,
Just so I
I'd ride
can
it right
fuck
off
with
the
him.
cliff.
I'd ride that one with my buddy. I'd be like,
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think our baggers
That
will fuck with
130
those.
is
Yeah.
probably
I don't know, dude. They're
problem.
fucking fast.
ride with
I
my
don't know,
buddies.
Nah, a Blockhead and them down in Florida did a race of a Harley 131 and one, and they were about even. And we could roast.
Yeah,
a
but
Harley
those guys are
131.
fags. Come on.
But I'm just saying. I mean, you might be able to feather out or fuck up the 131. You really can't fuck up that live wire. You just full throttle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, those things are fucking, they rip.
They rip.
Yeah, they rip. For
Takes a
sure.
lot of the rider air out of it.
Well, it's the sound. It's everything. It's just totally different.
And
it's
I rode a very, very short distance, but man, when you crack the throttle on those things, the amount of control that you have, because it's like immediate torque everywhere, you can get the bike tipped way over and you just crack the throttle and you're like, whop, and you're popping out of the corner and you're gone.
Yeah.
Well, it's got all the sensors, so it won't let it wheel spin at certain angles. It'll limit torque to the rear wheel. It's kind of like those BMW 1000s, the sport bike.
But still, I'm kind of known around these parts for helping to build some of the baddest ass motors in the country. So I can't really ride an electric around my buddies. So that's out.
I'd ride the Pan America off the cliff.
I would ride the Pan America with my buddies.
You haven't even ridden the Pan
Because
America
chances
yet.
are they're going to be down some
Fuck that
country
bike.
ass back roads and doing some dumb shit, and I don't have to worry about the nice new paint on the 130. And I would ride that 130 setup by myself, where I wouldn't have to have anybody in my way, and I could act a complete jackass on that
fair enough. I do my hardest
big
riding when I'm
horsepower
alone.
bagger and enjoy
That's
the
what
whole
she
day.
Yeah.
Hit the button.
That's what she said. Wait,
No,
which one? No, I believe. So I think the real rider that you are is the rider that you are when you're by yourself. And
Right.
Nobody's around.
That's why I want to be on that 130, because I want to act like a complete asshole and not
For
have to
sure.
worry about somebody checking up in front of me.
I ride
Or-
way tamer when I'm around other people
Same here.
than I do when I'm by myself. When I'm by myself, I really don't give a fuck. I'm
I ride
gonna
pretty
go.
damn hard on the
Yep.
test rides on these new builds.
It's fun.
See now, customer.
I beat the hell. If you're gonna pop before you get
Hey,
it.
you know what's
Yeah.
fun? We had some good test rides.
Yeah. Well, even when we took those
Those live wires, that shit was
out,
fun.
You and I were
Dude, it was awesome when we were fucking ripping past those cars and they're like hitting the brakes and shit because he's like,
and you can hear each other. So we're riding at like 50, and he's like, "Whole shot that car," because we're next to each other's
yeah,
side.
like that and that
That's
loud.
crazy.
And
You
he's
can
like,
and then
shout
he
to
would
each
go,
other.
and then I'm like, "Whole shot," and he would go, and then we're in a turn lane. We need to go straight. And there was that, what is it? Some Mopar
Yeah,
or
like
like
Hellcat
exhaust,
or
everything.
something?
Yeah, sitting there.
we
at the
fucking
light.
smoked that
The
thing.
light turned green, and you hear him spool up and spin the tires, and that's all we heard. We're like, but riding them next to each other is pretty cool because it feels like you're on a speeder bike because it's just that
Yeah.
hearing, you're hearing yours and theirs.
That's cool.
If I was gonna have a live wire, I would definitely want to have two.
Yeah,
You know what I
You
mean?
have to
Like,
have someone to ride with,
or
'cause
somebody that I rode with a lot have one as well. Because the experience of losing that sound and kind of being more in touch with
really
the
cool.
road and everything, yeah, is amazing.
and
It's
that
really
bike
weird.
handles like it's
Yeah.
fucking great. It's so much fun.
It's been how long? Year and a half or so it's been out.
yeah.
You still can't find a bad review if somebody's ridden one.
No. Yeah, still, I don't see him jumping off the floor.
But one of them started on fire.
at Daytona Bike Week.
Yeah.
This year?
Yes,
At the demo.
that happened. At,
Yeah, at the demo. No, and it was like at Rossmeyer's. Wasn't
yeah.
it? Was like
And they were
Bruce
like, "Get
Rossmeyer?
this thing out of
Like
here!" And they
runaway
were all upset.
fire.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
shit.
it just
Oh.
like spontaneously combusted.
And
Everybody's like,
they're-
"Hey, cool! Is that part of the show?" They're like, "Nope."
They're trying to do a promo on the live wire at a dealership, and it started catching fire. And they called Harley like, "Come get these fucking things. We don't want them at our shop."
It's new and
Because it
exciting.
Made this big thing. Everyone, yeah, it blew their whole.
It's gone. It went to motorcycle heaven.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah, so there were people like filming it and shit. And Rossmeyer called Harley. They're like, they're like,
Get it out.
Yeah.
"Get him."
Put it out and get it out.
So from what I understand, there was a fairly good turnout at Bike Week this year.
There's a fairly good turnout every year.
Yeah,
not last
no,
year.
but I mean, I heard this
Last year
year
was awesome.
they were not anticipating the kind of crowd volume they got, and they were
whatever.
running out of beer
They're
and all this kind of
fools.
stuff that I heard about, and it was
They're
crazy.
fools.
And people were like, "Oh, I'm bummed out," and they left.
I heard a lot of people
but
do
you know
about
what's
us.
stupid about that?
Yeah,
about
I heard
the
that
people
too.
that put it on is didn't Sturgis almost they had like record freaking turnout in the middle of COVID. So if you ran out of beer in Bike Week, you're just an idiot.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you should. Why would
it's
you
a
think that
super
it?
spreader event.
Yeah, everything's a super spreader event to liberals.
So I was at the liquor store getting beer
Bullshit.
before we did all this, and the girl behind the counter is talking to one of the other employees, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, well, you know, when all this blows over, y'all should come over and hang out and blah blah blah." And then she says, "Well, yeah, we're starting to get our vaccinations and stuff, so we should be good soon." And I was like, I just sitting there like looking at him like,
Tell
are y'all
it.
motherfuckers trying to punk me right now? Like, is this for real? Like, are y'all for real right now? Like, you're seriously, you're gonna take that thing. You're like lining up to take that shit.
Oh,
So
yeah, he just
Okay, he went to
World.
Disney World. Said he did.
yeah,
Yeah, we can hear you.
I can't
we
hear
can hear you. No,
He was in Disney World.
Anytime when going to Disney World.
Yeah.
all right,
Take the
yeah, give
microphone.
him
There
the
you
mic.
go.
Here we go. We'll start over
We
here.
have Tales from Behind the Mask with Cedric.
Yeah, I've been to Disney a lot.
living with mask holes.
But I have not been there
Okay.
during
Fuck
COVID.
yeah.
So I went to Disney World, and we were at the hotel, and this lady, very pretentious lady, came into, because they're limiting how many people can go into an elevator at a single time. It's per
Don't they do
party.
that anyway?
No,
I don't
two
fucking
people.
know. I
Oh,
don't,
Unless it's a family, it's you can do four.
yeah,
Oh.
I don't know, dude. I don't.
So what
know.
if you have like 4 kids and 2 parents?
Uh,
Get the fuck downstairs, kids, and wait.
well,
Yeah, leave the kids downstairs.
yeah, they'll be all right. Anyway,
What the dude
so
with his
pedos love
drawers
that.
hanging down halfway just came back from the pool staring at your kids.
so
We'll take the
this-
stairs.
this lady comes into the, like, they're maybe mid-50s or something. I don't know. I'm not racist. So they, oh, I'm just fucking being stupid. I'm sorry. So they were like, the lady, she's sitting at the door of the elevator and telling people who can and can't come into the elevator, blah, 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 COVID stuff.
So they're
Yeah.
paying somebody to stand at the elevator and tell you how.
That's her job, Mike. Anyways, so these pretentious middle-aged
Mid 50s, not to be
50s,
racist.
yes, come in and just assault us into our elevator, because my girlfriend were sitting in the elevator, and they just assault us with their presence coming to the elevator. And she says, "Don't worry, we've been vaccinated."
Who cares?
And-
Vaccinated.
and
Two people only, get out.
the best part is I told her, "Well, me and my whole family have it." So like, do you want COVID? Like,
So, do you tell them when they say that? You go, "Oh, good. Do you know that makes you a super spreader?"
no. No,
And they go, "What?"
No,
and you go, "Yeah."
I didn't
Yeah.
say
Now
that.
you spread it more.
But I told them,
Oh, I just say, oh, that's good. I'm a carrier.
I
Been there, done that, over it.
basically told them I didn't have a vaccine, and they freaked out and ran out the elevator. It was the best experience.
See
I've
you in the
ever
park,
had.
bitch. Happiest
Yeah.
day on earth, or happiest place on earth.
Because I have a fever and a
Hey,
runny
did Mickey have a
nose,
fucking
and
mask on
I'm
his
pretty
face?
sure I have
I
it.
don't know.
That's
Come
crazy.
on, you know. Did Mickey Mouse have a mask on his face? He was wearing a face shield and a mask. Like he's driving around in Franklin in a car.
No, but okay. So,
But was there a mask on the outside of
Yeah,
his?
did he have like a Mickey Mouse mask?
no,
Oh,
okay.
I was gonna be like,
He's like, well, fuck it. Cancel our tickets.
God damn. Fucking Mickey Mouse with a mask.
I bet the goddamn fireworks don't have masks either.
Dude, if you've never been to Disney World in Orlando, in Florida,
I have not.
it is a fucking magical
That is really
place.
good.
It is expensive.
Except not this year.
I don't give a shit. Any of that. It
They're actually
honestly,
limiting the amount of people into the park right now.
That's
So it's probably the
bullshit.
best.
hey, and he said he
because
still had to
it's not
stand in long ass lines.
yeah,
That's bullshit.
That's crazy.
That's bullshit.
yeah. There's long lines in my.
No fast
They
passes.
say that they're doing it, but I've never waited longer for a ride.
I do know that Disneyland in California, they do not check. They check your backpack for glass, but they don't check what's in the bottles, the plastic bottles. So you can have. So I would have a liter of cola and then a liter of whiskey.
Do we have liter cola?
We
Do we have liter of cola?
Yeah, we got
Liters
I don't
French.
even know what that is.
Liters French.
Coca-Cola's
French.
Give me some fucking cola.
just,
Just get a large
Hey,
Barbara.
Mike, let's admire the new drinks machine.
Yeah, you like
Yeah.
that?
I like
we
it.
got a chaser once
They
in a while.
finally got the shit straightened out where it actually gives you now out
Well,
of
they
it
just
what
they
it
were just the
says.
opposite. The guy was like, "Why didn't you call me?" And I was like, "Well, I figured we'd run out soon anyway."
No,
We did.
we relabeled it.
Yeah.
He was like, "It was embarrassing. You should have called me."
Like, it's your fucking machine.
yeah. You don't know how to load it.
All right.
Or test it.
I got one for Mike now. The 3. Your Sportster. A built V-Rod. Or the Dyna we built for your brother.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'd probably have to ride the
Yeah.
V-Rod off the cliff
I knew
just
I
to
was
see how far it would go.
it would go fucking
'Cause
far.
it would
You'd be
go
doing
way
about
out.
180
Yeah.
miles an hour
Yeah.
by the time you got it off the
Yeah,
edge.
because like if the cliff was the Grand Canyon, I'd be like, "Can I clear the river?"
Snake River jump.
Yeah, exactly. No, but that's the only reason 'cause I love V-Rods, and I probably, well, you know, my brother's Dyna's green. It's fucking, dude, I hate that bike. It's badass though. It's the
God, the
ugliest,
motor.
Badass, yeah.
ugly man. But the motor's tight.
That
So
was the dragon.
I'd probably ride that with my
Dragonfly
friends,
green.
and I'd make sure I wore a bandana.
And Balmain jeans.
Yeah, that's right. I'd have to go. I'd have to get some of my brother's jeans with some
Affliction and all that
fleur,
shit.
some fleur-de-lis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Some Balmains.
I need sequin fleur-de-lis on the pockets, and I'd be like,
Look like our
"You
painter.
got any T-shirts with angel wings on?"
No, you need a tap out. You need a tap out T-shirt and a headband.
Sparkle. Oh yeah, tap out.
You
Tap
need
out's
all the
even
tap
better.
out shit, dude.
Yeah,
It's affliction.
And a flat bill.
Yeah, affliction.
yeah.
Tap out bandana.
And what's that? What's that? There's the hat that they make. That's another fight brand that everybody you see. You're like, you have never been in a
Tap
fight.
out.
No, there's another one that's like that. Not tap out, but or a Fox hat. Those
Oh,
are
yeah,
those are
Fox.
awesome. The Fox flat
Oh,
bills.
that's
You're
just
like,
motor
yes.
bros. Those
Any
guys
flat
are like,
bill.
I've been to
Any flat
Anaheim
bill. I can't do flat
all 2 or 3 times every year. Fox.
I don't know what it is. I have tried, but as soon as I put a flat bill hat on my head and look at myself, I'm like, no. Take it off. Like, nope, I can't do it, dude. Flat bill hats, I cannot do. I don't know. To me, like a hat is supposed to protect you from the sun, and it does that the best when it's curved down the sides.
Let me see
And
that.
I can't.
Look at
yeah,
him. Look at him. They got that hat.
that's what I do to mine. I
Is that how they wear them in Iceland?
don't know,
Look,
man.
It's
Or
like-
Greenland.
Total protection, son.
Greenland.
I just can't do flat brim. And the fucked
I
up
know,
thing is,
but
though,
the thing
now
is-
they make hats.
Is you have
be
to
flat
see,
brim.
but see, here's the deal. See how small his head is and how big his is. It's set for his sides.
Mine's a 7. That's fucking tiny.
It is kind of small.
Maybe it's just the hair.
Maybe you're not wearing
He's got
it
more
all the
hair
way
than he
down on your
does.
head. You look like you got a big melon.
You do look like you have a big head. You wear a size
right.
7?
So we're
It tapers at the
I'm
top.
like 7.
we've crashed. We've crashed. We've crashed the V-Rod. What else are we doing?
I would
You,
ride.
you were
I'd-
torn about your brother's bike.
I would ride the Dyna with my friends, and I would wear tap out T-shirt, fleur-de-lis sequin pants, and a flat bill fox hat. And then I'd ride the Sportster alone because it's
Badass.
Fun.
it's fun.
Roll in looking like our painter.
Especially when it's done.
If maybe
God damn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ride that one day. I'll show all you
I'll ride mine one day.
one day.
Well, I saw a bunch of motor
So
parts
he might
going
ride
out
his one day.
for machining. For
Mhm.
that, I saw a bunch of your parts going out for machining.
When I do it, one day.
It's getting close.
I'm as close as I was 2 years ago.
Hey,
Actually, I'm farther
Go-
away.
go team.
I don't even have an engine in it now.
All three of us.
At
Like,
least there was a
hey.
bottom end in it. The other bike, I was like, man, it's going to be a great weekend to ride. And then
dude,
I was
that's the
taking
baddest
care of
ass
Q. I
bottom
was
end
like,
bike with a
Can I
aluminum swing arm and carbon firewheels on the planet sitting there.
can I make
at the warehouse.
can I make a fucked up observation
All of
here?
our bikes
If you want to.
are,
There's 6 people here, 4 of us own Sportsters, and they're all not running right now.
That's got to be some sort of a anomaly.
I know.
That's like Haley's
Mine
Comet.
runs. I can run it, but it just doesn't run. And it leaks.
I have to come in on a day off to tune,
Yeah.
which
Yours needs to be tuned. His needs to be.
And there's
This needs to be
5
timed.
of us here. that
His needs to be
all
tuned.
have motorcycles that don't run at all.
I have 3 that don't run at all right now.
I have one that runs, one that doesn't,
I have
You
one that
just don't
doesn't.
ride.
because I live on a mud road
The one that did run
and it's got no fenders.
sold my wheels.
Yeah, the one that does run sitting on a lift with no
That's
wheels
the
on.
one.
With my
Mark on my
takeoff
lift.
wheels on it.
They wouldn't fit. That's why it's still on my lift.
I know.
Fit.
I told
He
Shane,
doesn't
I was
wanna
like,
run
man,
16.
I felt so bad. I really didn't know I was marooned into your lift with Mike's bike. I was like, I'm sorry.
You were what?
I said, I didn't know I was taking his lift up for more than
He's
that
all-
day with
yeah,
your
he goes,
bike.
I'm just swapping wheels. I'm like, yeah, cool. He needs my lift. And then later he's like, this is gonna fit. I'm like, oh yeah, sure. Fuck my lift. He's
Yeah, I was like, I'm sorry.
Oh,
man.
sorry. No,
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't going to fit. I was like, just put that one. I knew
He
you had,
knew.
you had
I
a big
did.
job. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't care. I'm just. He's like, I feel so bad. I'm like, I'm laughing about it.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
It
I'll
is
just,
so
I'll
bad.
just take one of Tyler's.
We took care of Q. For now.
Got his with the Evo.
Well, Mark is gonna have fun working on that. What is that?
Bad-
Custom
bad big dog.
big dog.
Oh,
Those aren't
yeah.
bad. Those aren't bad.
Carbones.
They're pretty simple.
It'll be cool. We're going
Is
to,
that what that is? The big dog carbone?
It's his
yeah,
wife's.
it's his wife's, it's Denise's. We're going to take it apart. We're going to take it apart. We're going to take it apart and paint it pink.
As soon as
Really?
it came in, they're like, "Hey, look, Shane." I was like, "That looks like it's Marcus' name all over it."
Yeah. Well,
All right,
to
Shane,
be honest though, those bikes really aren't.
you
that
got to
hard.
do
They're,
history.
they're pretty simple. The
Oh.
only where you run into problem with those is like the
When you run 'em.
primaries. They usually run some weird
Yeah.
fucking primary.
When you try to start them or work on them.
Yeah, the
Don't they
wiring
usually have that?
wiring can be a bitch.
Yeah.
Because I think the big dogs are the ones that
What is
ran all
that?
black wires.
What's that
aren't they?
off-brand
Probably.
belt drive that used to? Oh, the
Media.
Ultima.
Oh,
the
Ultima.
off-brand
Does it have an Ultima?
Ultima.
Yeah,
Fuck
does it have an
Ul-
Ultima
fuck
belt
Ultima.
drive on it?
Dude, Ultima
There was a
is
bunch of
fucking
them.
garbage.
Yeah, back in there was like, what were they? It was Big Dog. There was
Swift,
um.
Big Dog. I don't know. There were
God, I
fucking
can't-
50 of them
Yeah,
after
there was
OCC
so
popped
many
out.
of them.
You have
Yeah.
to try that.
And they were all running different
Fucking
shit.
good.
They all had their own like controls and all their own shit that you couldn't get anywhere.
Ultima, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, the all the American Pro Street manufacturers that came out after OCC made it look like,
yeah.
dude, oh man, I'm a builder,
was that?
bro.
Who was that dude from Arizona that was making those for a while?
Forget.
Yes,
Forget started the Pro Street thing.
Bourget had those big,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
swoopy
Bourget used
tubes
to
on
make
the
some
swing
pretty
arms
badass
and all that
frames.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bourget.
Yeah, Bourget was one of the pioneers, though. His were different.
Yeah, they were Pro Street frames.
Pro Streets, yeah.
You
That
guys-
was like
Did
And he was
Pat
ahead of
Kennedy.
that. He was ahead of that.
Pat Kennedy, Bourget,
Perowitz
Ever get
made
the
them?
Perowitz.
ever get to play with those big bike choppers?
There were probably about a half a dozen guys that were.
Well,
Johnny Smith was huge back then, and,
And
he
then
made
there
some
was
badass
some
frames.
badass bikes like redneck frames were fucking dope.
Fuck redneck.
Oh, yeah,
dude.
redneck choppers.
I saw some redneck frames that were cool as hell.
Did you see him riding on the road, or did you see him in shows?
Shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were
Exactly.
shows.
Yeah. That's about right.
Yep.
Yeah, BMC, we got a couple of those that our dealership was trying to help them sell those in Cali. It's Big Mike's choppers, but they're called BMC choppers. So it's
Mhm.
Big Mike's choppers. Which I didn't understand, but they were
Yeah.
just bikes that he just did up, and they would just leak coolant or or dot 4 and
Just leak
dot 4 on your floor. It's sitting there.
Fun shit.
They look cool, but it's just, like it's all
those companies are the
Well,
reason.
well, you know,
they're
they
the
would-
reason
they would
that
do that.
choppers lost all their
They
value.
would do that stuff to, like, in the show bikes, like they would run those little tiny lines and run them inside the
Yeah.
frame.
Mhm.
But that's not functional.
No.
And people are
Form
too
versus
dumb
function.
to realize that, and the thing that really sucks is like some of these guys they'd be like, oh man, I'm a builder. And they just start fucking putting motorcycle parts together. And they have no idea what,
Tons of them.
some shit's there for a reason, like dot
Well,
safety.
like I said, that those
for brake
smaller
lines and
shops
stuff?
that were fucking everything up are the reason that whole market collapsed.
Like Sucker Punch.
they were selling those. They were
Well,
selling.
he
Sucker
was
Punch
stealing
makes
from everybody.
tons of bikes.
Yeah, but they were selling choppers.
He
were
didn't
getting
make
100
tons of
grand.
bikes.
They
He
were
took
getting
deposits
60.
on tons of bikes.
Is that what happened?
He sold.
Yeah. And then he
In
went
fact,
to prison.
He sold bikes multiple times.
Yeah, that's right. He's like,
To
oh,
multiple
don't worry about it.
He was like
The only
Carol
reason
Shelby
that the
back in
VIN
the
in
day.
New York says it's already run is because New York's
selling car
backwards.
after car. We're selling that car. That's Steve McQueen's car. He doesn't know that.
Yep.
To sell it to him, tell him to be 30 days.
Wasn't that
Yeah.
DeLorean doing that too?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we'll take a deposit in this car and make your next one.
Cool. Wasn't DeLorean? He was funded by the cartel, though, right?
I think so.
They're supposed to be remaking
I
that car.
have never
Are they
found any
With an LS motor.
like information
electric.
on that.
Oh, really?
Google it.
But
Yeah,
that's what I had
DeLorean.
heard that he went
DMC.
down. But when you look into like the history, because I watched the thing on DeLorean,
Here we go.
and nothing about drugs ever came up about it.
Well, he
the
didn't
best
do
thing
drugs.
about that
Well-
car was that the motor, the plant was bad. It was basic, but the engine bay was set up to take, it had mounts for almost every
Okay.
type of motor available. So you can pull like a Chevy motor or a Ford motor and drop it right in.
That's weird. The one
You know
time
what
you
Chuck
looked it
Love
up, you
the
found it.
DeLorean was, right?
But
Good luck getting it to go 88
I've
miles
watched
per
like
hour.
documentaries. I've watched like documentaries.
But
and
John
shit
Z.
on-
DeLorean
They say
arrested
that
at $24 million
DeLorean's-
cocaine deal.
Yeah,
I'd say he was
DeLorean's
funded
main
by
claim
drugs.
to fame was not being supported by the cartel rather, but supporting the cartel with his
He
use.
was
I thought his claim to fame was
So-
stainless steel bodies.
Yes, there was that.
and Gullwing.
I don't think the drug
Well, there
part
was an Irish
was
one,
fame.
right?
I think the drug part was like, fuck, I got caught. It was a really good concept. He just couldn't get any of the major players to support him, so he found
Wasn't
somebody who
wasn't that
would.
like made in Ireland or something? Wasn't it Irish?
The DeLorean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
What's
don't
it
know.
say?
It's not a motorcycle.
Now that you're actually looking it up,
Yeah.
I watched
for
this
some
documentary that
Yeah.
was produced by his son, and it never said anything about him being into drugs.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Really nice.
Jim Hoffman said the car designer, desperate for money to keep his company going, asked him to
He
set
got
up a
busted at
drug
his own
smuggling
company,
deal.
I think. Yeah, at his own spot I think, if I'm right, he got busted on a drug deal on his own company.
No, it was American. Never mind. Well, I forget the one I was
Ugh.
thinking of that was
Like it was
Irish.
a pretty big drug buy. I guess that went sideways. Oh, that's the new one?
That's the new concept, the full electric.
so it was bought like all of the rights and everything was
Yeah.
bought by a company in Texas.
Looks like a
Sounds about right.
McLaren.
And,
Yeah.
and they
It's
bought
like
up
a-
all of the old
Yeah.
new old stock parts, all that shit. They bought everything DeLorean. And they take DeLoreans and they completely rebuild them, revin them as new cars.
How many DeLoreans are there? Like 30?
No, there's more than that.
How many
there's
are there?
Way more than that. And they get 6 figures to do this on a DeLorean. It's crazy.
Dude, there was a company in California that used to take Miatas and
current
put
DeLorean
LS
company
motors in
is
Miatas. They
located-
called them Monster Miatas. And there was a company
Oh,
in
yeah,
Culver
with
City
the- with
called
the-
Monster Miata.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of like motors.
We had a
Holy
Miata. We were
fucking
talking about
shit.
doing it, dude. Yeah.
Crazy.
We were talking about doing it.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
What's that?
That's the
DeLorean?
new
Nice.
DeLorean
concept.
electric.
So, little known fact. What would you call that city right there?
Humble.
Humble, Texas, right? Wrong. They
What?
will fucking get pissed at you
Why?
in Humble if you call it Humble because it is Humble.
Humble.
Then I built
like
a store there and
Murray.
met some locals quite a few years ago.
Lafayette versus Lafayette.
Yeah,
I'm working with them and I kept saying humble,
Santa Fe.
humble, humble. And
Santa Fe.
finally, they literally were like, you got to stop saying humble. And I'm like, why? It's pronounced Humble. And I was like, oh, is it? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, I didn't realize. Are we in a suburb of Houston?
Oost.
And she looked at me like, what? And I was like, well, if the H is silent in Humble, why isn't it silent in Houston? Because it's a suburb of Houston. It's an outlying. And she was like, just looked at me like I was some kind of an asshole.
When did
I
we
was
drop
like,
the H?
yeah, I was like, so what? You get to drop the H, but everybody else doesn't? Like, how does that work? But
Hey,
yeah,
There's
that
a little
is Humble.
there's a little town just south there called Santa Fe,
Santa Fe.
and they had a farmers market or something, and Erica went over there and she was like walking around and she's like, she said, oh, I really like Santa Fe, and they're like, it's Santa Fe. She was like, no, it isn't. It's Santa Fe. And they're like, no, it's not. It's Santa Fe. She was like, oh, well, when they, it's a Mexican word, and like Santa Fe, New Mexico. Sorry, I didn't realize you guys. And they're like, has nothing to do with New Mexico. She was like, really? And so she's standing there and she looks it up on Google. The guy that started Santa Fe was in the Texas-Mexican War.
Yeah.
And then he was stationed in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And he liked it so much he came back and he started the town and named it Santa Fe.
I think,
And she showed it to the lady who was like, look, the guy, it's named after Santa Fe, New Mexico. And she was like,
it's the same thing. It was a
And the
French
lady
soldier that was in during the American Civil War, and so he came back and he made the town. And
Yeah.
like,
and so the lady, Erica said, like, she got chased out. of
All
the
offended.
farmer's market.
Did she really?
Yeah, she was like, they were
No
so mad at her.
shit.
They're like, you need to leave.
You know what's funny about that? Is
We don't
that
take kindly to your kind around here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I mean, I went to register my truck in Maury County, and she's like, it's Murray. And I was like, oh,
It's Maury.
it's. I said, it's sorry, it's spelled Maury. She's like, nobody calls it Maury. And I said, Maury Povich does. And she was like, what? And I was like, Maury Povich.
for you listeners, it's Maury.
Yeah,
is
Maury,
the
it's
town.
Maury.
And they all say Murray.
It's the county. And they're
Yeah.
like, it's Murray. You fucking heathen.
Yeah.
And then Lebanon is Lebanon.
Lebanon. Yeah.
You just go
Lebanon. Yeah.
Lebanon.
What's the
Lebanon.
other one? There's
Yeah.
another really good one.
Well, okay, so it's not just here though. So I went to I got a job in Louisville, Colorado, and only knowing of Louisville, Kentucky, spelled exactly the same. I was like, oh, so I said something to somebody, and I was like, oh, Louisville, Colorado. And they're like, it's Louisville. Louisville's in Kentucky, and I'm like, you guys are fucking weird.
We don't slow down, man.
People find
You know
strange
us.
stuff to get upset
Well, it's
about.
like Nevada. If you say Nevada,
Nevada,
As opposed to Nevada.
they're like, there's a lot of
No,
desert to dump your body in, buddy.
A lot of holes in the
Say
ground.
You know what was awesome about Nevada?
yeah. See, that fucked somebody up.
I know,
right there.
I know.
They're-
So I know.
they're
Triggered.
Like, they're fucking raging right
Triggered a
now.
leftist.
Oh, yeah.
Nevada. So I lived in
Nevada.
Sacramento, and I had family that lived in Salt Lake City. So I'd get on my V-Rod, and you'd go over Donner's Pass, and you just get on 80.
Yep.
And there were no cops anywhere except where the towns were.
Yep.
And the
So-
hookers.
Well, yeah, the hookers are also in the towns. Hookers don't hang out when there's not towns.
And the-
Yeah, they don't hang out on 80 unless there's a town.
Just a truck stop.
Nothing
That's
is
where
on
they hang out.
I-80.
They're male.
Just
Yeah.
in case you don't know, in case you're not familiar with Nevada, there's nothing on I-80 unless there's a town. And
Yeah.
all the towns are like these little gambling fucking shithole towns. But I would get on my V-Rod and I would just hit it at 100, and then I'd throw the thumb screw up, drape my hands over the handlebars, and then I'd just hook my feet over the passenger
passenger
pegs and
pegs,
just
yeah.
lay on top of it
Mhm.
and just do 100 miles an hour. And then every town, you would only get about 150 miles of the gas. So every single town, because it's about 110 miles,
Yep.
just pull over, get gas, jump back on the freeway. Boom! So I'd make it like in 6.5 hours from Sacramento to Salt Lake City. Just doing 100 miles an hour the whole
Almost
fucking way there.
split my Toyota. 130.
Yeah, because there's no
There's
cops.
nothing.
There's no cop. The cops don't give a fuck. They're like, it's a straight road
Yeah.
for like 600 miles
All right,
Of desert.
I got one more for Tennessee, and this is for Tyler.
Oh shit!
Tyler's from Illinois.
He's from
No,
Greenland.
you're
Greenland.
from around here,
He's from
man.
Greenland. He's not from around here.
I made the mistake of going to get my car license in Shelbyville.
Shovel.
Look, he doesn't even know where that is.
Shelbyville. That was the one I was thinking.
I made that
Shelbyville.
mistake too. It's not
Shelbyville.
Shelbyville.
It's Shelbyville.
Shelbyville.
Yeah.
Shovel.
Yeah, and
Shovel.
if you Shelbyville,
Shelbyville.
Shovelable.
Shovel.
and I know people that
Shelbyville.
live there, and they're quick to correct you. It's not Shelbyville.
Is there
It's
Walmart?
Shelbyville.
Shovel.
No, it's Wally
Shelbyville.
World.
Huh?
Shelbyville.
Shovelable. It's Wally World.
Wally World. No, they call it.
I don't know. That's
Well,
what I-
I think it's about that
You got
time.
that nice whiskey in there, don't you?
We're gonna hit
Sure
the
does.
outro. I'll turn that down. Record anyways.
Good show, man. We had fun. We didn't ask you about your 3 bikes. Next time, huh?
Yeah.
Shane was supposed to.
Once
Alive-
again, it's
you're
time
sports with
to
hard
open
bag,
your
running
ears
without a-
and
with a good head
expand
gasket.
your
Ah.
mind.
Ooh.
Maybe
Ah.
it's
A
dull
live
enough.
wire
Either way,
Ooh.
I think these boys
for
have something to
Mid
say.
America.
So sit back, grab a brew. We're gonna have some too.
Ooh.
If it has to have hard bag
Here
on it,
on
like
Talking
forced her
Brass.
off a cliff.
Oh, wait,
Okay, so he's been talking about how he wants to buy hard bag for a year.
No, I'm not joking about
I just wanted to find guys got you are not joking about
He's
that.
thinking ahead. He's like, I got to keep one of these 2 other
No,
bikes.
I want bags. I need storage.
Well, you're gonna have to need those on the live wire. You
no
think it looks
way.
gay on a Sportster?
There's no way I would actually do it. I think it's funny, and sometimes I just
You know this is live, right?
yeah.
hey, well,
Lie.
there's no fun.
Hey, I bet he edits
Get
that
back,
out.
whip.
There's no way I'll actually do it.
If you ride with a get back work, you're stuck, dude.
Sorry to anyone who comes in with a get back whip.
So anyway,
Get back
what are you doing?
Stupid.
Riding your bike up the cliff?
You
Yeah.
ride your bike up the cliff.
I would ride the live wire alone and the
100 miles at a time.
Yeah. Fun fucking 100 miles.
We're going fucking riding.
Shovel.
shovel. That's gonna wrap it up. We're gonna do a little closing here. Check us out, talkingrap.com.
Hell
Anywhere you get podcasts, but check us out on the website. Follow the link to all the bullshit.
Are you a Podbean?
Pretty sure I
I like Podbean. You know, I never listened to our podcast because I'm in a.
I know.
Relive the horror.
I have to do it.
What are our stats like?
Edited.
What are our stats? Yeah, it's a lot
Yeah,
of
we have like
editing. Poor bastard. He's
Yeah.
got.
I gotta
Makes
listen
him a
to
month
this
to edit
over
this
and
shit.
There's a lot of cleanup going on in this bullshit.
What were we saying? Oh,
Saying how many? Yeah. What's our? No. Let's just. What's our exposure?
Fuck yeah.
Podbean. That's weird.
It's
pretty much the most-
It's like
Pretty much the most popular platform.
not even close. Not even close.
It's me. It's the only one I have.
Well, Mike, if you want such
I
know about your app that you use for podcasts.
hey,
Alright.
I am
We're
a.
wrapping it up.
I'll tell you
Thanks for
what.
listening.
The only better thing than Podbean is axe throwing,
That
and
is fun.
when I can pay to chop people's wood, because there's nothing more hipster than paying a farmer to chop his wood.
Hey man, you want me to chop up that wood for you? I'll give you 20
Hey,
bucks.
You think I'm making that up? That's a
I
real
know,
thing.
I
And
know
they
it
and
is.
they buy
It's
super expensive axes and they go and they chop wood. And they're like, dude, we're gonna have a wood chopping man seminar. There's a they
And
cater
there's-
with food trucks that have
Did you
like
bring your Dixon?
And there's,
yeah.
yeah.
There's food
And
trucks
there's
and
a
they're like,
farmer there
"Oh."
that is so helpful because under his breath he's going, "You're a fucking
You are
idiot."
fucking idiotic.
Yeah.
These are chores, you
I've been
fucking
axe
dummy.
throwing, and it's fun because they have a full bar.
Yeah,
so
but-
you are doing it. You
All
are
right.
doing it, Buzz.
That's
Sure.
it. We're hitting it.